Where can we buy bread for these people to eat? That's a question Jesus asked his disciples. And we should be thankful that he asked it, because it shows the real heart Jesus has for social situations, and he wants his disciples to share that interest too. An enormous crowd of people had followed him. They were on the hillside, and it was spring. The grass and flowers were blooming on the hills as they do during the Palestinian springs. But there was nothing to eat. And so a little boy had brought some bread and fish, but it wouldn't go very far. This was the reason that Jesus intervened and performed a great miracle. He used God's creative powers, and he had refused to use them for his own benefit when he was hungry in the desert earlier in his ministry. But now he did it for the benefit of all those hungry people. Similarly, it's an equally tremendous miracle when God causes grass to grow for the cattle and plants that people use to produce food from the earth, as it says in Psalm 104, verse 14. God performs this miracle annually before our eyes. And we think of it as completely natural, but it would never happen without the Creator's intervention. Jesus fed 5,000 hungry people. It's no wonder they were so enthusiastic. At last they found someone who could solve their problems. They wanted to lead him away triumphantly with or without his consent and make him their leader. But then Jesus withdrew. This wasn't his task in the world. He didn't come to solve the world's problems by producing everything that we might want to eat or to appease and satisfy all our desires. These solutions don't solve the real problems at all. The real problems are much more profound. They're part of an evil, egotistical, self-glorifying desire that causes new conflicts and sufferings no matter how many material things we acquire. As we know, problems and conflicts may increase with the acquisition of these things. This doesn't give us the right, though, to be at peace with ourselves as we sit with our arms crossed amidst suffering and injustice. Whatever can be corrected should be corrected. A Christian has a social responsibility in which goodness and mercy need to be upheld as much and as often as possible on this earth. And the church, with the proclamation of God's word and doing his work here on earth, the church has a responsibility to look out for and care for the physical and spiritual welfare of people everywhere who are the crown of God's creation. But the church cannot become what the people wanted Jesus to become, an executor of a worldly welfare program. You can't receive what Christ has to give as long as you are concerned with protecting your rights and getting the most out of this life. Social issues are important, but there are even more important issues. Issues that deal with our sinful nature, what we do, what we don't do, that is in line with God's commands. Neglecting those issues can have horrible consequences, often already in the here and now, but definitely in eternity. The way you resolve those issues determines everything else.